Hello, explorers of the unknown. Welcome to Hidden History, the channel that unveils humanity's darkest secrets. Picture this. It's December 1968, on a dark road in Northern California. A young couple is enjoying the night when suddenly gunshots shatter the silence. In seconds, innocence turns into tragedy. The Zodiac killer, a name that sends chills down your spine, right? This infamous figure was responsible for a series of chilling murders in the late 60s and early 70s, leaving behind cryptic messages that still puzzle everyone today. But this was just the beginning. The killer didn't just want to kill, he wanted to be seen, heard, and feared. Through mysterious letters sent to the police and newspapers, he taunted authorities with undecipherable codes, mocked the investigation, and promised more deaths. Thus was born the name that still terrifies to this day, the Zodiac Killer. But this was just the beginning. The killer didn't just want to kill, he wanted to be seen, heard, and feared. Through mysterious letters sent to the police and newspapers, he taunted authorities with undecipherable codes, mocked the investigation, and promised more deaths. Thus was born the name that still terrifies to this day, the Zodiac Killer. This unsolved case is one of the most infamous in American history. It has inspired films, books, documentaries, and continues to obsess investigators and curious minds worldwide. Get ready to dive into a story of brutal murders, cryptic puzzles, and suspects who always slip through the hands of justice. If you love true crime, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss any mysteries. Now, let's dive into the start of this dark saga. The first attack. On the night of December 20th, 1968, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday decided to have their first official date. The teenage couple parked their car on a secluded road in Vallejo, California, a spot known among young people for romantic getaways, quiet and far from the city's hustle. The first murders, retroactively attributed to the Zodiac, were the shootings of high school students Betty Lou Jensen, 16, and David Arthur Faraday, 17, on December 20th, 1968. But that night would be anything but peaceful. Just before 11 p.m., another car approached. A man stepped out, armed, and without saying a word, opened fire on the two teens. David was shot in the head as he exited the vehicle. Betty Lou tried to run, but was struck in the back by 5 fatal shots. The killer vanished into the darkness, leaving no clues. Many speculated that Darlene Ferrin knew her killer, based on interviews with Ferrin's friends, a connection that has never been confirmed. The police found no witnesses or suspects. It was treated as a mysterious double homicide with no apparent connection to anything larger. No one could have imagined this was just the first chapter in a series of crimes that would terrorize all of California. The subsequent attacks. On July 4th, 1969, during a night of fireworks, another couple was attacked in Vallejo. Darlene Ferrin, 22, and Michael Majot, 19, were inside their car when a man approached and fired multiple shots. Darlene died, while Michael survived despite severe injuries. Then, the unexpected. About 40 minutes later, the police received a phone call. A calm male voice confessed to the attack and also claimed responsibility for the double homicide from the previous year. It was the first time the killer spoke directly. 2 months later, in September 1969, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were on a date by Lake Berryessa. A masked man, dressed in black and bearing a crossed circle symbol on his chest, surprised them. After tying them up, he brutally stabbed them. Brian survived. Cecilia did not. On the couple's car door, the killer wrote the Zodiac symbol and the dates of his previous attacks. On October 30th, 1966, Sherry Jo Bates, an 18-year-old student at Riverside City College, was last seen in the library until it closed at 9 p.m. Neighbors heard a scream around 10:30 p.m. Her dad reported her missing, and tragically, she was found dead the next morning, just a short distance from the library. She had been brutally beaten and stabbed. Nearby, they discovered a men's Timex watch with paint splatters that had stopped at 12:24 p.m., but police think the attack happened much earlier. A few weeks later, in October, an even bolder crime would take place in the heart of San Francisco. The letters and ciphers. Soon after the initial attacks, local newspapers began receiving letters signed with a strange symbol, a circle bisected by a cross. In July 1969, 3 identical letters arrived, each containing 1/3 of a 408-symbol cipher. The killer demanded they be published in full or he would kill again. The decoded text read, "I like killing people because it is fun. It is more fun than hunting wild animals because man is the most dangerous animal of all." A chilling confession, accompanied by threats of new attacks on school buses. Months later, another 340-symbol cipher was sent. It wasn't cracked until 2020, over 50 years later, by a group of cryptography experts. The message didn't reveal his identity, only mocked the police further. Other smaller ciphers, of 13 and 32 symbols, remain unsolved to this day. The Zodiac used his codes as a psychological weapon. He didn't just want to kill, he wanted to create a myth, manipulate the media, and become a dark legend. The murder of Paul Stine. On October 11, 1969, the Zodiac proved he could strike anywhere. Paul Stine, a 29-year-old cab driver, picked up a passenger in San Francisco. In the upscale Presidio Heights neighborhood, the man pulled a gun and shot Stine in the head. Calmly, the killer tore off a bloodied piece of Stine's shirt and walked away. 3 teenagers witnessed the scene from a window and called the police. Due to a communication error, patrols were searching for a black suspect when the man was actually white. He escaped just blocks from the crime scene. Days later, the bloodied shirt fragment arrived at newspapers with another letter. The message confirmed the killer's identity and mocked the police. This time, it wasn't young couples on secluded roads. It was an ordinary worker killed in the heart of the city. Fear in San Francisco reached its peak. The police investigation. The hunt for the Zodiac mobilized police from multiple cities and even the FBI. Thousands of pages of investigation, hundreds of suspects, and a pile of inconclusive evidence were amassed. Fingerprints, hair samples, and even DNA from envelope seals were examined, but nothing led to the culprit. The psychological profile described a meticulous, intelligent man obsessed with attention, likely with an interest in cryptography and possibly ties to military or technical fields. But it wasn't enough to identify him. One of the lead investigators was Inspector Dave Toschi, known for his dedication to the case. However, he was later embroiled in controversy when a fake letter was linked to his name. Ultimately, the investigation always hit a wall due to the lack of solid evidence. After 1974, the Zodiac stopped writing. Did he die, change his identity, or simply grow tired of toying with everyone? His silence became yet another enigma. Main suspects. Among the many investigated, one name stood out: Arthur Lee Allen. A former teacher, he lived near the crime scenes, had a history of violence, and wore boots matching evidence found. He also owned a Zodiac brand watch and spoke about hunting couples. Despite the coincidences, there was never definitive proof. DNA from letters didn't match his, but questions remain about the reliability of those samples. Allen died in 1992 without ever being formally charged. Other suspects emerged over the years. Gary Francis Post, named in 2021 by an independent group, Richard Gaikowski, an eccentric journalist, and even Louis Myers, who allegedly confessed on his deathbed. None were confirmed. The mystery endures. Perhaps the Zodiac was an ordinary person, hiding behind a normal life, or maybe he was a manipulative genius who knew how to vanish into the shadows. cultural impact, and legacy. The Zodiac case transcended police work and became part of popular culture. It inspired films like Dirty Harry and David Fincher's Zodiac, as well as books, comics, and TV series. He became an icon of real-life terror, a figure who defies the law and is never caught. But behind the legend are the victims, young people who lost their lives, families torn apart, and communities that lived in fear for years. That's the cost of the myth, the real pain of people who never got justice. Today, with advances in genetics and artificial intelligence, there's still hope for a resolution. But until that happens, the Zodiac remains a ghost, reminding us that some monsters manage to escape justice. Conclusion. The Zodiac killer remains an enigma, one of the greatest criminal mysteries in history. An ordinary man who turned himself into a dark legend, leaving us wondering, who was he really? What do you think? Was Arthur Lee Allen the culprit, or is the real killer still hidden somewhere in history? Share your theory in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video, share it with friends, and subscribe to Hidden History for more dark stories like this one. Until next time, explorers, stay curious, but stay safe.